subscribe. Help me hit 500 subs by the end of the year, and I'll do something wacky. Hello and welcome. It is Friday. I am feeling under the weather. It is 11 o'clock. It is the 23rd day of October, and I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OGGM with another OGGM adventure. Yay, me. And we're about up to 220 subs, a number I never thought I'd reach. So thank you very much to each and every one of you who have chosen to be a part of this crazy endeavor. Since the topic of this week, and main topic of this week in the gaming world that isn't Trump and Biden, is of course the Wizards of the Coast's latest Garfunkel regarding the Dragonlance property. And a lot of people are saying, well, this is just part of Wizards of the Coast SJW politics, blah, 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 blah. No, I don't know if it has anything to do with SJW and just more to do with bad business and making bad choices and the whole legacy thing and not giving the rights of a product created by individuals back to the individuals, or not taking the product and doing something with it and just holding it in this nebulous bank of, well, stuff. I don't know, we might do something with it. Dragonlance belongs to Margaret and Tracy. It is their creation. They should have the wherewithal to do something with it, whether it be through Wizards of the Coast or whether it be with their own publishing company and the Cortex system, their own role-playing game. But part and parcel, as we've mentioned previously this week, this is not the first hog digital birtle choice that I'm making up words that Wizards of the Coast has made, and generally it falls into the same box of they think they're making the right choice, but they make the right choice for the wrong reason, or they make the wrong choice for the right reason, and rarely do their choices make sense, especially over the last 10, 15 years. And of course, we can't mention the Margaret Rice, Tracy Hickman, Dragonlance situation without mentioning the OGL situation and just how that blew up in their face. And of course, we can't mention the OGL situation without mentioning the Paizo Publishing situation and how that blew up in their face. And of course, we can't mention that unless we go all the way back to, yes, I'm gonna say it, 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons, a topic I have covered numerous times, but I feel it kind of fits into the same bracket as what's going on with Dragonlance, so it's worth mentioning again. Now let's just start with my same caveat that I always start when I get on the topic of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons, the system, the actual paperwork, if you take everything else away and just look at the system, it's fine. It actually has some really good ideas. It's not amazing. It's not the best thing that came out role-playing wise at that point in time, but it's not the worst role-playing game ever made, and it's certainly not awful. It's just sort of there. I mean, there's some good ideas, there's some bad ideas. Generally, the actual numbers, the actual paper, the actual system, The anger that a lot of people have, well, this isn't my Dungeons & Dragons, a lot of people have, is directed at the system when the system is not the villain in this scenario. What they should have done is either taken the Eberron license, which they had just gotten about the exact same time or around the same time that 4th came out, and said, this is the Eberron role-playing game system. 3rd to 3.5 is still out there. This is a system. This is the Eberron role-playing game system. Or this is the Magic the Gathering role-playing game system. But really what made the most sense, hindsight being 2020, is to say, here is the Eberron role-playing game system. It is not Dungeons & Dragons, because 3.5 is still out there. It is a separate entity using this engine. And they support it for about a year. At the end of that year, they should have then said, hey, what do you think of the Eberron role-playing system that we've been pushing for the past year? Would you like to see us convert Dungeons & Dragons to this? Have the Eberron role-playing system be the 4th edition of Dungeons & Dragons? That's what they should have done. That makes the most sense, hindsight being 2020. That's not what they did. It's not even close to what they did, but it's what they should have done. So now that we've put that hypothetical perfect universe out there, let's go to what they did and what upsets people. And people's anger is misplaced because it's angry at 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. But 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons is not the antagonist in this scenario. It's Wizards of the Coast. And the multiple choices Wizards of the Coast made during the beginning, middle, and end of the lifetime of 4th edition D&D. And basically, when you look at it, every single solitary marketing choice they made makes absolutely no sense and was totally 100% the wrong thing to do. And that is why it angered so many people, caused such a rift in the gaming industry, and ended up being the disaster that is 4th edition. And again, let's just say, as a system, God, I have a headache today. 4th edition is fine. But the choices they made is what got people angry, and got game stores angry, and got supporters angry. And, well, you can't get angry at an idea, but you certainly can get angry at 4th edition. Now, 4th edition's goal, just like 3.5 and just like 5, was what marketing and research thought the target audience was at the time. And the target audience at the time was not 3.5 players, was not the OSR type players like me. They believed their target audience was people who played World of Warcraft and video game players, and this new generation of very technologically hip YouTube, Skype, World of Warcraft, Evercraft, some Magic the Gathering. But basically, they were appealing to what they thought the market was, and they thought the market was video games. And if you look at 4th edition, and you look at what 4th edition tried to do, it tried to be a video game role-playing game. It failed miserably because, let's face it, you cannot put World of Warcraft, Diablo, EverQuest, Path of Exile, and make it into a role-playing game. At least not using the D20 system. I mean, maybe you could with another system, but probably not. There's too many things that a video game can do that a rolling dice and telling the DM I'm going to do X really can't emulate. It's not to say one is better than the other. It's just that it's apples and oranges. Role-playing games are apples. Video games are oranges. Video games can do a lot of things a role-playing game can't. Role-playing games can do a lot of things a video game can't. But to try and make 4th edition for the video game public, yeah. And especially the way 4th edition looks. You can definitely look at it and go, oh, I can see they were trying to make it like a video game. I can see what they were doing here. But they didn't do a very good job of it. And I don't think you can. I don't think you could make a video game, role-playing game, that totally emulates a video game. At least not mechanics-wise. I mean, players and DMs could get very cinematic, and the DM could be very forgiving and blah, 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 and let you do lots of video game shit. But I don't know. They tried. Now, again, this is coming back to the beginning of our statement that Wizards of the Coast, especially over the last 10, 15 years, for whatever reason, makes what they think is the right choice. But inevitably, that choice ends up being wrong because they made it for the wrong reason. And 4th edition is, again, a perfect example of making choices which they thought were right, but turned out being wrong. And from what my understanding of the politics involved in 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons, from the beginning, middle, and end, again, is that every choice they made from the beginning to the end of its lifespan was just completely and utterly nonsensical. Nothing that Wizards of the Coast did regarding the 4th edition engine made sense in regards to marketing, in regards to how they dealt with their suppliers, how they dealt with mom and pop friendly local game store, how they treated people like Seth Bradley at Seth's Games and Anime, or Barry over at North Coast Role Playing. The relationship that they developed at that period of time between Dungeons and Dragons old school gamers like myself and store owners like Seth was extremely antagonistic and extremely just completely bad customer service, bad choices, bad thinking, just very antagonistic, very just bad marketing, because they so wanted to make themselves look good for their potential new owners, Hasbro, who I think, but whatever, but so wanted to appeal to this younger, hipper video game artist that and just kind of completely disavow everything that happened before OGL, third edition, the Pazio, Knights, Nightmare, whatever, Mazes and Monsters bullshit, the Satanic Panic, and the way they went about it was so condescending, so antagonistic, so just bad marketing choice after bad marketing choice after bad marketing choice, that by the time 4th edition was in everybody's hands, people were just like, fuck this, I'm going to Pathfinder. And in trying to sabotage Pazio and the way they treated Pazio, which is a completely different video, they instead created their single greatest competitor, Pathfinder. And in creating Pathfinder, here was a product that did everything 3.5 did. Basically, if there is a logical next edition after 3.5, a 3.5.1 or 3.6, it was Pathfinder. If you look at Pathfinder when it first came out, and you look at 4th edition when it first came out, Pathfinder is closer to what most people wanted as the next step in the evolution of Dungeons & Dragons, as opposed to 4th edition. 4th edition is the Eberron role-playing game. It could have maybe been, if they took more time, the Magic the Gathering role-playing game. But it's definitely the Eberron role-playing game. It was definitely an attempt to create a World of Warcraft, Warhammer, Diablo-style role-playing game. They failed, but that was the attempt. And that's not what the market wanted. And the market felt so betrayed by Wizards of the Coast. And the personality conflicts, the antagonism, the condescending, the do what we say or else mentality that Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro / whoever had at that point in time. And again, I don't know how much of this is true. I know what I was told. I know what I witnessed. But the actual conversations between Wizards of the Coast marketing and Diamond and friendly local game store owner, I was never a part of. I just know people were angry, and store owners were angry, and retailers were angry, and the customer base was angry. Literally to the point where physical violence erupted over 4th edition, which is utterly ridiculous. It's a fucking game. So, and I've told my story before about 4th edition and just how stupid people got over 4th edition and how angry people got over 4th edition. But considering the current political environment, maybe it's worth telling again to just remind people, chill the fuck out. So I'm at Seth's Games and Anime, and I'm playing with a couple friends. And yeah, we're playing 4th edition, and we're having a good time. And 3 or 4 tables away from us, there's another group who are playing, I think, 3rd edition. I'm not sure what they're playing. I've told stories about this group before and how badly they treated Seth's Games and Anime and how badly they are just like the worst example of a gaming group. But they were playing whatever they were playing. There's an individual at my table named Johnny. And I don't remember exactly what he said. It was sort of antagonistic. He was kind of like, comparing our table to their table and just sort of, he was a kid. He's like 15 years old, and whatever. He said something that for some reason so incensed the 3.5 players that this guy, Billy, gets up, runs over to our table, and fucking kicks the kid out of the chair. and then tries to punch him. Why? Because the 15-year-old kid said something about how our table is having fun playing fourth, and their table over there isn't really doing anything playing 3.5 or something. I don't remember exactly what the kid said, but because these individuals were so angry over 4th edition and so angry that there are a group of people playing 4th edition and apparently having a good time playing 4th edition, that something this kid caused a grown-ass man to run across the room, kick a kid out of the table, and then punch him. Now, obviously, cops were called. He went to jail, blah, blah, blah. But still, why did that happen? 4th edition, stupidity. Gamers not being able to communicate with gamers. Bad personalities, antagonism, condescending. And that condescending, antagonistic, bad customer service, bad relation, 4th edition is the devil, 4th edition came into my house and killed my dog mentality is probably why that happened. And it's just, again, back to the start, a perfect example of Wizards of the Coast over the past 10, 15 years making utterly, I mean, it must look good on paper to somebody because they made the choices that they made. And it started with the Peso situation and the OGL situation, goes into the 4th edition situation. The 4th edition situation takes us into the 5th edition bullshit. The 5th edition bullshit takes us into let's make 5th edition the Magic the Gathering role-playing game, to the, oh, we're racist legacy bullshit, to the most current bullshit of the Margaret Weiss, Tracy Hickman, Dragonlance, Wizards of the Coast situation. So we're 16 minutes in this conversation. Now, I haven't gone into the actual facts of the 4th edition thing, because that could be another 30, 40 minutes. But let's just say, yet again, in closing, every single solitary choice from beginning to end, from the beginning of the announcement of the product line to the cancellation of the product line and the announcement we're going to start playtesting 5th, regarding 4th edition's lifespan, every single solitary marketing choice, customer service choice, decision that Wizards of the Coast and I guess Hasbro, I don't know, made, totally wrong. Just totally stupid. On paper, some of the choices sort of make sense. If you think about it, oh, okay, I can see what they were trying to do. I can see what their target audience was. I can see that this is an attempt to make money and reclaim some of the lost income. And I can see why they don't want to do this, because it would cost them a lot of money to do this. So, yeah, all these choices, I guess some of them on paper made sense, but for the most part, as we bring our week of just looking at the utter although I suppose I should do the Peso thing too, looking at the utter stupidity of Wizards of the Coast over the past 15 years, just, again, just why? And then it brings us to today and the Dragonlance Wizards of the Coast contract thing, lawsuit, whatever. Why? Just why? How do you win this choice? I mean, there's no upside. If you're not going to do anything with Dragonlance Wizards of the Coast, give it to the people who will do something with it. Otherwise, you're just holding on to a product line and paying for a copyright that you don't want, and you're not doing anything with, and you violated a contract. How does that look to your supporters and your stockholders and your retailers who are like, I can't trust Wizards of the Coast now? They violated this contract. So there you go. 20 minutes of me talking about this bullshit. Obviously, it's still something I'm very passionate about, obviously, because I guess I was deep into the trenches of the 4th edition war, and I still can remember to this day the sound of that poor kid getting kicked out of a chair and punched by a 35-year-old fat man simply because he was playing 4th edition. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, the OGGM, and if you appreciate this content and want to see more, comment down below. And if you think I should shut the fuck up and never talk about this again, comment down below. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. share my videos, and if you're feeling generous, maybe, buy me a cup of coffee or something, because again, this really is my only job. Talk to you later.